One person who has already done an extraordinary job of changing our profession and transforming the world is this year's Outstanding Fundraising Professional. He is an amazing fundraiser, having helped raise more than $750 million during his career. And he's done it the right way, leading from the background while highlighting the work of donors, volunteers, and other staff. He's done it by staying current with new trends and employing the latest technology at every organization where he has served. But more than that, he has been a fierce advocate and leader for the fundraising profession. He is committed to training and mentoring fundraisers and has spent his career passing on what he has learned to others. We officially presented his award during Saturday's celebration of philanthropy, but we wanted everyone to be able to hear from him as he passes along his lessons learned and guidance for all fundraisers. He is the Vice President for Advancement for St. Joseph's Villa in Richmond, Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming this year's Outstanding Fundraising Professional, David Huffine.
As I was crossing the campus of the University of North Carolina at Greensboro the fall of my sophomore year, I ran into a fraternity brother, and he said, "Hey, Huffine, we're all going over to the alumni house tonight and call the alumni and ask for money." I made a quick rundown of all the other options that college students have for their evenings besides calling the alumni and asking for money, and to this day I remember saying to him, "Why in the world would we want to do that?" Nevertheless, for the good of the order, I showed up at the alumni house that night. Little did I expect that when I walked through those doors, I was walking into what would become my life's vocation. That night, I picked up the telephone and I called the alumni and asked for money. For those of you who don't know what this is, it's like a prehistoric version of this. And you know what? I couldn't believe when I called those alumni, they didn't all give. I don't know if I got much money, but what I did get was something way more valuable. I learned that fundraising is a real job that actual people can do for a living. I also learned that fundraising is nothing more deep down than making a connection with people over a cause you both believe in. And after almost 30 years of doing that real job, I still believe that no matter how people change or causes change or practices change or technologies change, it's still about making that connection with people over a cause you both believe in. My fundraising work today is for St. Joseph's Villa in Richmond, Virginia. We serve children and their families whose lives are shaped by homelessness, developmental disabilities, mental illness, and special education needs. We're celebrating the Villa's 180th anniversary this year, making it the longest-serving nonprofit for children in the United States. When I was still new to the Villa, I remember being overwhelmed by what I saw our direct care staff do every day. In our program for severe autism, for example, they sometimes have to wear bite guards on their arms. And they might have to diaper a severely disabled, full-grown teenager. And they do so with strength and care and respect. I spoke to the program director and I said, I could not imagine how they could make it through a single day. I was astonished by his answer. He said, "Well, I cannot imagine how you can raise money. I could never ask someone for money." And in that moment, I stuck out my hand and shook his and said, "We got a deal. You go help and take care of those kids, and I'll go ask for the money to help pay for it. So I hope you, as I did that day, will fix in your minds that when you are out hosting a donor to lunch, or rewriting that direct mail piece, or convincing that volunteer it really is better if they ask, or arranging the baskets in the silent auction, what you are doing is just as important to changing lives as the direct care staff, or the professor, or the conductor, or the dancer, or the nurse. And don't you ever let anybody tell you differently. Now I'd like to share something with you that has been a profound driving philosophy for me all along my professional journey. I'm speaking, of course, about a Peanuts comic strip. Charlie Brown and Linus are outdoors, sitting on the bench. First frame, Linus says to Charlie Brown, "When I get big, I want to be a great philanthropist." Second frame, Charlie Brown replies, "You have to have a lot of money to be a great philanthropist." Third frame, silence. Linus is thinking. Final frame, Linus exclaims, "I want to be a great philanthropist with someone else's money." What does it mean to be a philanthropist with someone else's money? It means you are a steward of their gifts. Half of our job is to represent our organizations to our donors, we know that. But the other half of our job is to represent our donors to our organizations. That means taking care of their gifts like they are your own. It means when you feel joy receiving that gift, you're obliged to help them feel joy when they give that gift. Joy in how they are asked, joy in how they are thanked, joy in seeing and knowing that their gift is changing lives, joy in feeling a closer part of your organization. It means you act to affirm their own vocation as philanthropists. Theologian Frederick Buechner said, "The place where God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet." You deserve that feeling in your work, but your donors deserve it just as much. If any of us wants to be like Linus, that has to be where our deep gladness resides. Being recognized by AFP as Outstanding Fundraising Professional is a humbling honor, but honestly, today I stand before you as nothing more than a boy who's grown up with the chance to be a philanthropist with other people's money. I look at all of you in this room. It's filled with people whose work, whose skills, whose passions, whose late hours, whose deep gladness are dedicated to connecting with people over a cause you both believe in. And in so doing, you gather resources to equip the work of those causes. Now, despite our fantastic ability to connect with people, we're doing jobs that are still impossible to explain to our mothers. You've invested yourself in this conference to learn, to grow, to refresh, network, and to be affirmed. But perhaps the greatest thing about being here, and really the greatest thing about AFP altogether, is that whether you look around this huge room or look around your chapters you'll soon return back to, there is not a single person you'll have to explain your job to. Besides our mothers, there's another group of people we still must explain our jobs to. I'm talking about the next generation of fundraising professionals. We seriously need to replenish our stock, the stock of our trade. We need to identify talented young women and men and tell them that fundraising is a real job that people can actually do for a living. Not just tell them, but show them, encourage them, mentor them, hire them. Bring them to your AFP meeting. Let's leave here committed to doing that. If for no other reason than because one day we're all going to want to retire, but we're still going to want to be sure that our passionate causes continue to live on. I thank AFP for this recognition, for all the role models, colleagues, and friends it has given me, and for all it has taught me, and for this chance to speak with you. I thank you for joining me in this shared vocation and striving to make it the absolute best it can be. And above all, I thank my God, the great philanthropist. On the first day of this conference, you heard Whoopi Goldberg say that her philanthropy began when her mother said, "There but for the grace of God go I." Friends, whenever we act to channel the abundant flow of God's great love of humankind to causes that lift people up, that bring people hope, that restore creation, causes that inspire, we can say, "There with the grace of God go I."